Hey everybody, Sue here from She Sells. I am on the road again, as you can tell from my... This is not the same hotel I was in last week. It's the same chain, same picture up on the wall. But I am in Pensacola, Florida tonight. I had to come down here for family. I had to come pick up my son. He's going to help us next week during my husband's surgery. And yeah, so I'm just gone for one night. So I left the house about 10, got here about 10:15 at night. It's only a 5-hour drive, 5.5 hours, but of course I shopped all the way down. And my husband jokingly said, leave space for my son's luggage. And I should be able to squeeze that in. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about Facebook Marketplace. And then I'll ramble at the end because I had a listener say that I didn't get to the topic fast enough. So I'll talk first about the topic and then I'll ramble some. So if you want to fast forward through the information, go ahead. So, she was just asking me about selling on Facebook Marketplace. And this is the way I do it. And, you might feel comfortable this way and you might not. Just like anything else with reselling, you can kind of do it any way you want to. And sorry, I don't have a stick or anything to hold my camera, so it's just kind of a weird view here. Anyway, trying to rest my arms to hold up the phone. So I basically use Facebook Marketplace when I'm selling to get rid of stuff that I can't sell anywhere else, or it's too heavy to ship. Not necessarily making money. Usually I'm just trying to get my capital back on stuff that didn't sell, returns from Amazon. Same things I sell on eBay, but for some reason, maybe it's not a good selling item on eBay, or, there's just not much money to be had. I did really well around Halloween last year, and again around Christmas time. I think it's just mostly because I was kind of going to be home around those times. I don't like to sell year-round or constantly on Facebook Marketplace because I think people don't necessarily like to buy from quote-unquote resellers or people they think are doing it for a living. I have heard people say, they like to take junky pictures with a junky background or whatever because people think it's just somebody getting rid of something out of their basement or whatever, and it sells better. I haven't tested that out really. I just usually lay it down on the floor in my office. I've got kind of that fake wood laminate and just lay it there and take pictures. That's usually what I do. Once in a while I do it on the kitchen counter or whatever. But anyway, so, I sold last year. One of the things that I talked about was I had a whole bunch of Thomas the Train that I had got at Toys R Us. And, when they were going out of business. And I actually bought them thinking that I would sell them at Christmas time because the last 2 Christmases they sold really well. But there was just a few that Amazon had been on all year and the price never went up at all. And I had paid $2.99 for some and around $5 for some of the other ones. So I just put them up as $5 a piece or 5 for $20. And I actually sold quite a few of them. So on some of them I made a few bucks, and some of them I just kind of broke even. And maybe some I even lost a few, just a little bit. But I got rid of quite a few that way. Now, I'm not going to drive somewhere for $5. At the very beginning, I used to meet people down at the Starbucks just down the road. Or we also have our police station, which a lot of local police stations, you can meet there. They have like an area set up that's on camera. But one day when I was buying something from Facebook Marketplace, I went to this person's house and they called it a porch pickup, and they just had a Rubbermaid bucket up on the porch. And I lifted it up and my stuff was in a bag with my name on it and a little envelope. I left my money and good to go. And I thought, I like this because number one, like I said, I'm not usually making all that much money, and I don't want to drive and sit and somebody doesn't show up or I'm waiting 20 minutes or that kind of thing. I know Steve and Steph used to do that a lot, and they would wait until the person, they would ask the person when they were 5 minutes away from their spot, which was just a minute or two from their house, to text them right when they were almost there, and that they would leave and meet him at that time. Excuse me. But I live in a fairly safe area, and I've got a covered porch. There's no door on it, but, it's covered from rain or whatever. And I'm kind of at the end of a dead-end street. I'm not all the way at the end, but anyway, so, you know what? If somebody came and stole that $5 toy or whatever, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But here's an interesting thing that happened around Christmas time. I had a whole bunch of stuff up there. And people would say, maybe I posted on Tuesday, and people would say, oh, can I pick it up Friday? And what I used to say was, you know what, if I don't do any holds, but if you want to check back with me Friday, if it's still there, you can get it. And people would say, okay. But then one day I just decided to say, I don't do any holds unless you PayPal up front. And I couldn't believe how many people paid me up front. So it was like, then number one, then they were going to come pick it up. And number two, then I could, I was done with that listing. So that might be something that you want to try. Even if you're going to meet them, you could have them pay for it ahead of time. Other than that, I have done a lot of purchasing for reselling on Facebook Marketplace, and I have found that it has gone up. Like, people sometimes are asking eBay prices on there now, I feel like. But a couple things that I really need to start looking for again. In the past, I had bought ink and also, full-size printers. Probably the two biggest sales I ever had were two printers that I bought on Facebook Marketplace. Both were purchased, I think, originally from this person's, well, it was two different people, both guys who worked from home. And their company had bought them a printer that they never used. One guy had moved it from Colorado over to Atlanta. His moving sticker was on there and the address from when they originally shipped it. One was a Xerox Color Cube. If you ever run across any, I didn't even know what that was, but I looked it up on eBay. If you ever run across one, look it up. I bought it for $45 and sold it for $475 plus shipping. And then another one was a Dell computer. And both of these were 50, 60 pounds. So I shipped them both by FedEx. And actually, companies bought both the printers. They were older printers. Actually, the Xerox Color Cube, a Xerox repair center in California bought it. So I knew that one wasn't coming back. I'm sure they bought it for parts, because mine was literally new in the box. And the other was some envelope company in Delaware bought the Dell printer. And my guess is, the secretary had been using that one for 8 years, and she wanted that same one again. So, and I think I paid 50 or 60 for that one, and I only got about $3.75 for that, but still a really good, return on investment. And then I've bought, laser cartridges. You could buy them expired and sell them on eBay. You just have to, write down the expiration date and the title, and I always take a picture of it too. But even though there's an expiration date on ink, it doesn't, I've never had one sent back to me. I mean, I literally sold one that expired in 2010. It was, I think, Epson. It was like the 4 or 5 colors, you have to buy like 5 for the set. Anyway, that's the way I sell on Facebook Marketplace. So I just list it. It is kind of annoying. You get these, I'm interested. I've also had the case where I sold my lighting kit that I had been using for eBay because I kind of changed up the way I was doing it. And I just threw it up there for $10, and I could not get my phone to stop. And literally, I had somebody there in 15 minutes to come pick it up. And I tried closing the listing, Deleting it. I still was getting, oh my gosh, I just thought my phone would never stop. So you can run into that as well. But I also would say if you're trying to buy, I always tell people, I'm interested, I can pick it up this afternoon. Or I can pick it up, as soon as you're available. I've bought a couple really good Lego sets that way, the Mindstorms. I think I've talked about that before. I've bought a couple of those sets, and they had it listed for one, I think 40 and 160. And I sold them for a couple $100. So if you don't go get it right away, somebody else is going to grab it up. And I just happened, the second one at least, I just happened to run across, they had listed it like 3 or 4 minutes before. So I got really lucky on that one. Anyway, I guess if you have any, I thought I'd have a little bit more to say about Facebook Marketplace, but it's pretty basic. And I think just that one good tip about, asking people if they want to PayPal. And then you're paid for it already. That's my favorite tip. All right, so I left the house about 10 o'clock this morning, and now we're on to the rambling part. I left the house about 10 this morning, did the show with Scott and the guys, and I got here about 10:15 tonight. So I did stop and shop. I stopped at a few Kohl's on the way, a couple other little stores, and then I had stopped at a Walmart. I had been to this Walmart a couple years ago, I'd say. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it's a big super Walmart. And I did really well there last time. So I pulled up and I went into the clearance section, and I went up and down and scanned everything on that aisle. And I found a few little things, but every single one of them had those big yellow clearance stickers on them, and I'm just kind of like, is it worth it? Some of these, I think I even put a few back. Well, then I strolled around and I went through the different departments, and I got a whole bunch of toys. And then I went to the video games, and I got a whole bunch of video games. And I really filled my cart overflowing. And so on the way to the front, I stopped and grabbed some boxes. And I don't know if you knew this, but some of the Walmarts have got 25-cent, the small box. I think it's the small right now. For 25 cents. It's not the heavy duty, but it still would be great for eBay or a few things. Anyway, I grabbed a handful, as many as I could pick up and carry, because I didn't want to put it on top of stuff. I had some kind of fragile stuff in the cart, and carried it up front in a couple medium boxes as well. And it wasn't busy like my Walmart. I was gonna say on a Friday night, but it's actually Thursday. I don't know why it feels like a Friday today. But it was maybe 7:30 when I was checking out, and it was not busy at all. And I went up to the lady at the cashier and I just said, hey, could I just leave my cart and these boxes here for a second? I'm going to run out to my car and get tape. So I brought my 3-inch tape in. And then I let a couple people go because they only had 1 or 2 things. And I first bought the boxes because they weren't tax exempt. And then rang those up, and then I started taping them up. And then as she rang, I packed everything. I had a whole stack of boxes to bring out to the car. I had a couple carts of boxes and just loaded them up. And that was terrific. I mean, I'm not processing tonight. I'm just going to bring the stuff home. So that was a good stop. And my husband asked me today, are you going to shop on the way home? It's like, I might just pop in a couple places. There was one more Kohl's here I was going to do when I got here tonight, but it was 10:15. I'm pretty sure they close at 10, and I don't know how close it is to here, but I may try and pop in there tomorrow. And then I'm headed home, so I don't know what I'll be doing this weekend. I was actually going to come here, and I brought my laptop so I could do some of that kind of work tonight, but I'm pretty pooped. So we shall see what happens. All right, that's about it. I just wanted to, like I said, really just answer Tiffany's question about Facebook Marketplace. But if you have anything specific that I didn't really cover, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I will answer as usual. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.